Welcome to the Ward 3 Budget Town Hall meeting. My name is Michael Fabricant, Mayor Gray's Ward 3 liaison. I'm also a proud Alice Deal Junior High School alumni, raised right here in Ward 3. Thank you all for coming tonight. I want to recognize all of the Ward 3 ANCs. If you're here, please stand up. Your individual and collective work and effort help make Ward 3 a better place for all. I also want to recognize the Mayor's Cabinet, Community Affairs Director Steve Gaudet, Office of Neighborhood Engagement Director Francisco Fimbres, and Deputy Director Letitia Atkins. Last but not least, a big thank you to Alice Deal's staff, teachers, and Principal Albright for their commitment to our youngsters and for hosting us this evening. I am honored and humbled to work for Mayor Gray in Ward 3. Mayor Gray, thank you for your commitment to Ward 3 and our beloved city. Continuing the practice Mayor Gray started when he took office almost 2.5 years ago, he will brief the district ward by ward on his proposed budget for the upcoming year. As he presents his proposed FY14 budget tonight, you will see a budget that is thoughtful, progressive, and compassionate. I believe you will see a budget which not only invests in, but actually seizes the opportunities of the future for the district and its residents. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Vincent C. Gray.
Now that's enthusiasm, isn't it? Thank you very much, Michael. Michael really works hard. I was just asking Councilmember Che about working with him, and he had a hard act to follow in terms of Freddie. Freddie moved over to Ward 2, and Michael has taken over and has taken it to another level and done it with great gusto. So, Michael, thank you very much for what he's already getting instructions from his boss, right? I want to recognize we have a number of co-sponsors tonight. ANC 3C, the chair, Victor Silvera, ANC 3E, Chair Jonathan Bender, ANC 3F, Chair Jonathan Tope, and ANC 3G, Jim McCarthy. We also have the Palisades Citizens Association. You know what? I have to recognize, see the two people sitting together. Would y'all stand up? Penny Pagano and Robin Marlin. But let me tell you why I asked them to stand up. One represents the Palisades Citizens Association. The other represents the Hillcrest Community Civic Association. And it's a partnership that has gone on for a number of years, and they are here together representing the East and the West. One city here in the District of Columbia. Thank you all very much. In addition to that, the Cleveland Park Citizens Association, the Ward 3 Democratic Committee. I know we have a number of members. Is Shelley here tonight? Where is she? Oh, there she is. Shelley, thank you so much for working with us on this. And of course, who did I miss? Did I miss Glover Park? Glover Park Citizens Association. And I suspect we probably have representatives of all the organizations that I mentioned. Also glad tonight that we are joined by our council member, who I worked with on the council for several years. And she's chaired a number of committees and done it with excellence on the Council of the District of Columbia. And of course, she represents Ward 3, as we all know. And I'm delighted she's here tonight, and I want to ask her if she would come up and say a few words. Please join me in welcoming Councilmember Mary Che.
Good evening, everybody. I'm delighted to be here and to talk about this year's budget because I think that Ward 3 has been well taken care of, and I'm very grateful to the mayor. I had gone to the mayor with a number of things that were of great importance to us in Ward 3, and gosh, I think they're all in there. I just want to mention a couple of things because they're very, very important and even affect this very building that we are in. There is over $13 million to fully fund the renovation and modernization of Hearst Elementary School. Over $22 million in 14 to fully fund the renovation and modernization of Horace Mann Elementary School. Almost $5 million in 14 to add additional classrooms to Janney Elementary School. $8.655 million in 14 to increase the budget for the renovations of the Rose Reno School, right here. $46.3 million divided between 14, 15, and 16 for Lafayette Elementary School. And as you know, we have Ward 3 students who attend that school as well. $32.6 million over 15, 16, and 17 for Murch Elementary School. And I want to point out, yes, I want to point out about that, while it pushed it up 1 year, it was very, very important because we had underfunded what we needed there. Originally, it was $16 million, and now it's double that, so that when we finally get to it, we will have enough to actually do a full and complete and wonderful job over there at Murch. My children attended Murch. $7.9 million in 15 and $5 million in 19 for Oyster Adams, and $6.5 million in 16 and $4.2 million for Eaton Elementary School. So our schools are being modernized, and we will finally have schools all across the ward that match the excellence of our students and our teachers. Public libraries have been another area I'm very, very happy to report on. $10 million to increase library hours and open the branches 7 days per week. Along with $2 million for, I know I'm stealing your thunder, but
It's all right. We'll have thunder strike twice.
I'm just delighted by this, and $2 million for new books. Over $15 million divided between 15 and 16 to modernize the Cleveland Park Library. And that's an increase of over $12 million from the original $2.3 million, which was plainly not adequate. $21.7 million divided between 15 and 16 for a new Palisades library. Recreation centers. We have $1.5 million in 14, $4 million in 15, and $4 million in 16, totaling almost $10 million for a new Palisades Recreation Center. And quite nearby there, this is our Palisades contingent right here. Quite nearby there, we're going to begin a study to look at modernization of Hardy Recreation Center this year to see what we can do in the ensuing years. Now, there are other items in the budget that I had sought: the permanent repeal of the out-of-state municipal bond tax, $2 million to replace, in a phased replacement over 5 years, our super cans and our recycling cans. And by the way, on the recycling cans, it will pay for larger recycling cans. We have these little tiny recycling cans, which are not enough for what most people have and what we want people to be doing. In terms of transportation, because I have oversight over transportation and the environment, there is $400 million to expand the streetcar program. And more recently, we have money put in the budget to provide an efficient and ongoing funding mechanism for bus service improvements and to add to the circulator system. All of these things not only improve Ward 3, but improve the district overall. And I'm just very, very grateful to the mayor for the things that are in the budget. Now, of course, there's this always part of this. Of course, there are some things that I'm going to be seeking, as the council goes through the budget, as we go through our agencies and that sort of thing. Sometimes it's possible to find some money and divert it to some other things. I'm looking for money in particular to help our seniors and services for our seniors, to give them greater assistance, and also additional money to deal with the problem of homelessness in the district, which is something that we all should be concerned about no matter where we live, because it afflicts our citizens in the district. So I'll be looking for additional money for those things, but overall, this is a fabulous budget for the district and for the people of Ward 3. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Che. And actually, she's right. There are some slides that will have some of the same numbers. And what I'm going to make you do is, when I know we're coming up on that slide, you will have to close your eyes, and I'm going to say, okay, the number for X is what? You want to see how good a memory, how well they were listening to you, Councilmember Che? You don't think I'm really going to do that, do you? You know, our chief financial officer is retiring this year. No, he's retiring. Let me make sure I get that straight. He announced his retirement. And the mistake that he made was leaving the date to me. So he can retire, but it won't be effective until August of 2020. I have enjoyed working with Dr. Gandhi. He and I have worked very well together when I was a Ward 7 council member, certainly when I was the chair of the council, and now in these 2 years and almost 4 months now as mayor, he's done a fantastic job on behalf of the people of the District of Columbia, and I would not want to be the person to come behind Dr. Gandhi to be the chief financial officer, because those are some mighty big shoes to have to fill. So he has been on this journey with us. He's been at every town hall meeting over the last, this is our third budget in doing that, and he's been at every one of those. He's going to miss Thursday night, Robin, in Ward 7, because I can't believe this. He had a choice of coming to Ward 7 for the town hall meeting or going to London. And he chose London. Can you believe that? I don't know what's wrong with him. Anyway, please join me in welcoming our Chief Financial Officer, Dr. Natwar Gandhi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to let you know that I was in a town hall meeting in Ward 7 with my tax friends, Rob Farr. We were answering questions on real property taxes. So I was there. Unfortunately, I have to be out of town next Thursday. I'll miss that. Mr. Mayor, I'm very pleased to be here. But I would like to welcome you to Ward 3. I'm a loyal resident of this ward and have been for the last 13 years. And I told Mrs. Shea that I will not move. I want to vote for her.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Mr. Mayor, I'm delighted to be here along with my colleague Gordon McDonald, Rob Farr, I just mentioned, Stella Hodge, and David Umansky. We have been working with your excellent team of Alan Liu and Eric Goulet. They have been great people to work with. And my primary objective of being here is not just because I'm a Ward 3 resident, but more than that, I'm here as an independent chief financial officer to assure the mayor, the council, the citizens that your budget for 2014 is fiscally prudent, financially responsible, and structurally balanced. These are very important words for us who deal with debits and credits, the bin counters. Fundamentally, what we are saying here is that we are not spending anything more than what we take in, that we will not use our saving account, and that we will remain within our capacity to borrow money so that we can easily maintain our debt and pay for debt services. These are easy things to say, but extremely difficult to achieve. And Mayor has accomplished that now for the third time as a mayor in this budget. What we have is a jurisdiction that has had fundamental problem with its finances in mid-90s when we had $500 million, $500 million or more in our deficits in our fund balance. Today, under Mayor's leadership, we have $1.5 billion in our fund balance. As I mentioned today in my hearing before Mr. Evans, that jurisdictions that have gone through financial hardship, New York, Philadelphia, none has been able to come back as well and as fast as this city has. From $500 million deficit to $1.5 billion, a $2 billion turnaround. From junk bonds to AAA on our income tax revenue bonds and AA on our general obligation bonds. In February, under Mayor's leadership, we went to New York, and as soon as we came back, we got an upgrade from Standard & Poor. That is the agency that has downgraded US government, but they saw it fit to upgrade this jurisdiction, this district. So thank you very much for your leadership, Mr. Mayor. And it isn't just me saying that we are doing well. It isn't just that rating agencies are saying that we are doing well. All one has to do is to walk around the city in any ward, and we will find a jurisdiction, a district, a city that is economically vibrant and dynamic in terms of its economic development. We are adding 1,200 new people every month to the city. And we are having, and Mayor is going to mention this, but I'm going to steal his thunder, 50 plus, she has done this, so why shouldn't I? 50 plus construction cranes out there in the city. And it is going to happen more because under your leadership, Mr. Mayor, we are having an economic renaissance. And I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Thank you very much for your leadership, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gandhi. And it really is, and I mean this quite sincerely, it is wonderful to hear your energy and enthusiasm also. Want to stay? You don't really have to retire, okay? In any event, Dr. Gandhi mentioned, by the way, 50-some cranes. We actually, and I know this sounds crazy, but we actually do count the cranes. We are at 59 cranes at this point, which is the most that we've had. We added 2 more over last weekend. The Deputy Mayor of Economic Development and Planning and Economic Development let me know that yesterday. And they're all over the city. It isn't just in the downtown area. It's on the west end, it's on the east end, it's on the north end of the city. Development is taking place everywhere, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight as we talk about the budget. I want to mention, since Dr. Gandhi was up here, we've shared some numbers. We try to do this every ward that we go to. In the capital budget, Ward 3 for fiscal year 14, just in the fiscal year alone, there will be $47 million spent on capital projects just in Ward 3. And then over the 6-year plan, and some of those projects that Councilmember Che mentioned, we will have spent $137 million over the next 6 years in Ward 3 on capital projects. So again, I want to thank her too for her leadership. She's a great advocate for the ward. And a lot of times when I see her coming, I'm like, well, what's the ask today? But that's being a good council member too. So thank you, Councilmember Che, for your leadership and your advocacy on behalf of the ward. The theme for our budget this year is investing for tomorrow. And we're not only investing for tomorrow, we're also investing for today, because some of these things are going to bear fruit right now. Especially the economic development investments that we're making, all will be important to our future here in the District of Columbia. And one of these slides, and a couple slides, you're going to see what I think is ultimately, if we stay with this formula that we've tried to put together, there's nothing signed, nothing all that profound about it, but it's so hard to stay with this formula. But if we do, I think the city is going to be just fine economically as we go forward. You heard Dr. Gandhi talk about the fiscal turnaround. This is the chart that shows us all the way back to 1992. The area below the line on the left-hand side is the deficit, the $500 million deficit that the city experienced. And then we started to go up. We were going up rapidly until about 2007, and then it started to go down some. And one of the things I vowed coming into office is that we were going to restore fiscal stability to the city. And that's one of the principal things that we have focused on, restoring stability. And we have gone back up. As you see, we had a surplus at the end of fiscal year 11 of $249 million. And then at the end of 12, the audit that we got in February, we had a $417 million surplus. So we have added, in the last 2 years, we've added almost $700 million to our fund balance. Our bond rating is Standard & Poor's on our general obligation bonds has gone from A+ to AA-. Our income tax secured bonds are AAA, and we've stayed within our debt cap while creating a $1.5 billion fund balance. 12% debt cap, and even with the capital projects we have been able to do, we've stayed within our debt cap. And I want to recognize, where is Eric in here? Oh, there he is. Eric Goulet, who's our director of the Mayor's Office of Budget and Finance, and the guy who I call him the capital budget guru, John McGaugh, who does such a great job with the capital budget. Thank you, John. As Councilmember Che indicated, well, she didn't say this broadly, I will. There are no new taxes and no new fees in this budget. We have factored in the effects of sequestration, a term probably in no one's vocabulary 2 years ago. You probably didn't even know what the term was the first time you heard it, but I bet you know what it is now. It translates into budget reductions, and we already are seeing that. We think we could lose as much as $50 million in revenue coming into the District of Columbia, and on top of that, another $60 million in programmatic cuts in the city for a $110 million loss. But we've been able to factor in the $50 million in revenue. We got a new revenue estimate in February. It was $190 million. It would have been $240 million, but for having to take into account the effects of the revenue estimate of the sequestration. We've eliminated the out-of-state municipal bonds, as Councilmember Che indicated, and we've also eliminated what was a double tax. People who live in co-ops were paying two taxes. They were paying property taxes, which everybody pays, and also paying a possessory interest tax, which is another tax that was imposed. We've eliminated the possessory interest tax in this budget. Now, the next one is the slide that I was talking about, and that is, not that there's anything, profound about this, but again, there are not a whole lot of jurisdictions that follow this. It's a three-part formula. First of all, our money has come from the combination of lower unemployment. We've lowered the unemployment rate in the city from 11.2% down to, I saw Lisa Mallory come in. There she is. Stand up, Lisa. Lisa's director of our Department of Employment Services has done a great job. Our One City, One Hire program is almost at the point of having, since we started it, is almost at the point of having gotten 6,000 people jobs. Is that right, Lisa? 6,000 people jobs. Our unemployment rate is down to 8.5% here in the District of Columbia. There are not a lot of jurisdictions that are having a drop in unemployment, and we are having that effect. So a drop in unemployment, our population growing, and then job growth in the city. We've lost about 4,000 government jobs, most of which, or all of which, were federal jobs because of what's happening with sequestration and even before that. But we've added 30,000 private sector jobs for a net increase of 25,000 to 26,000 jobs in the city, which of course has been helpful in bringing people back to work and getting the unemployment rate down. That has generated $166 million additional dollars this year and $152 million for next year. Secondly, additional business tax revenue. We have more businesses that are opening up, and businesses that are here in substantial part are growing, and we're collecting additional revenue from those sources as well. And then thirdly, because more spending is going on, I mean, I hate to say this, but I actually ride around and see how many people there are on the streets and hoping that they are spending money in the city to stimulate the economy and those sales taxes that come with it. How many of you all know that we opened a new Costco in this first time ever in the history of the city? How many people have been to that Costco? That's pretty good. It's all right. Well, I go there, and the first thing I do when I go there is ride around the parking lot. Anybody want to know why I ride around the parking lot? See the license plates. That's exactly right. Because one of our 6 visions, right, Victor, is to be able to end retail leakage. Everybody know what retail leakage is? Simply put, it means you live here and you spend your money somewhere else. So we're trying to end retail leakage. So I go look at the license plates, and what I've seen is roughly half the license plates are District of Columbia license plates, and then the rest of them are Maryland and Virginia, which means we're not only slowing down leakage from the city, we're helping to create leakage in other places because they are coming to the city and spending their money in the District of Columbia. So sales taxes, we're projecting to go up. And let me call your attention to something that's really important. We're getting about $79 million more this year, but $93 million projected in 14, which means that not only are sales taxes going up, they're really continuing to escalate with one fiscal year to the next. Next slide gives you an idea of how the money is spent in the city. About 40% spent on human support services, and then another 20% spent on public education in the city. So $6 out of every 10 either spent on supporting human beings in the city who have needs or helping to educate our children. And the rest is spread across public safety, government direction and support, public works and economic development, and then paying the financing costs on our investments. The next slide is a list. And the reason why we include this is because I want you all to see, we have worked very hard to try to be as transparent and open and inclusive as we possibly can with our budget. All of these organizations listed here were organizations we met with before the budget was done to get their input. And they're organizations who can see themselves in this budget. I know Councilmember Che, we met with every council member in one form or fashion to get their input on the budget. And she provided input, of course, that became a part of this budget for fiscal year 14. The next slide is the beginning of the rest of this presentation, and that is, how many of you attended the One City Summit that we had at the Convention Center in February of 2012? Well, out of that came a lot of information that then was translated into the One City Action Plan. And the One City Action Plan contains 3 priorities: to grow and diversify our economy, educate and prepare the workforce for the new economy, and improve the quality of life for all. And what we were trying to do, which is not easy and doesn't often happen, was to say, all right, this is what people told us was important to them. We then translated that into a plan, which is in book form. For those of you who don't have one, we could give you one before you go, if you haven't seen it yet. And then we took that plan and used it as the frame for this budget. So you could see citizen action translated into a plan, and then dollars being attached to how we spend the money. So actually people can see, taxpayers can see where the money is going based on the things that you all wanted done. Anybody remember what the top priority was? Housing, that's exactly right, affordable housing. And look what we did with affordable housing. And that is, we are proposing to put $100 million into affordable housing in the District of Columbia for the next fiscal year. $67 million of it would come from $67 million would come from this year, and then $20 million from next year going into the Housing Production Trust Fund. Last couple of years, we've been faced with one of these impossible situations, and that is having to choose between putting money in the local rent supplement program or putting money into the Housing Production Trust Fund. Both are hugely important and not something that we wanted to have to choose between. We didn't have a choice because we simply didn't have the money to be able to do this. So we are putting money now because of our improvements, and financially we are putting money into both. Housing Production Trust Fund will help support affordable housing, as will the local rent supplement program. In fact, the next $13 million of the 100, you can see how it's broken out. $3 million going into the local rent supplement program on top of 2 already there, and then $1 million going into a first-time home buyers program, $1 million going into rapid rehousing in order to get families back into housing as quickly as they can. A lot of people don't know the following, and that is people see folks going into shelter. They see families going into shelter. But what they don't know is that 9 out of every 10 families who present themselves for shelter to the city are diverted to other more permanent options. Only 1 in every 10 family has to wind up in shelter based on what we've been able to do. Where's David? There he is. Stand up, David. David Burns is our DHS director and has done a terrific job, not only with housing, but also with our TANF program. We now, for the first time in the history of this city, I guess it's the first time in the history of the city, we have an assessment on every TANF recipient who has hit the 5-year point. Is that right? That will be as of tomorrow. And that means we're now starting to get people back to work or to work who may never have worked in their lives or may not have worked in a very long time. So, David, I want to congratulate you on the work that you've done to be able to make that happen. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program, $1 million, and the purpose of that is to keep people where they are. If somebody has, a utility bill that hasn't been paid, or their rent may not have been paid, and they are facing, for whatever reason, eviction or shut-off, we can step in and pay. And we're proposing to put another $1 million in that for next year so that we can keep people where they are rather than have to leave their home and be into a shelter situation. We were losing what, Eric? $7.5 million of domestic abuse services dollars because we were being, like everybody, having federal reductions being made. And so we have replaced every one of those dollars with local District of Columbia dollars to make sure to be able to continue domestic abuse services at the level that they have been in the past. We also working hard to keep our city safe. I see Chief Lanier back there. How are you, Chief? And I know it's been at least 2 hours, right? I was with the chief today. I don't know how many of you remember a horrific situation that occurred. Now it's been about 2 months, I guess, where there was a police officer on a motorcycle, and there was somebody who took an automobile and deliberately ran into him and caused severe leg damage. He's still in the hospital, and the chief and I were together today visiting him at the rehab hospital. And he is going to be out tomorrow. He will be out a week from today. However, he is a Caps fan. And so we're not going to put him through the raffle, all right, for Caps tickets. He is going to go to the game on Saturday night to be able to see the Caps play because he is a big Caps fan. And isn't that the least we can do for one of those who put his life on the line for every one of us? Yes, thank you. We are committed to increasing our police force to 4,000 sworn officers. We are at, what, 3907? 3926 as of today. So we got some graduates, huh? That's right. Got some graduates coming out of the academy. 25 more? We might hit 4,000 before the fiscal year begins. Of course, we'll have some retirees along the way, I suspect, as well. But the idea is to be able to get to 4,000 and stay at 4,000 because we have a growing population. Some of you may know that we have the Coast Guard, for example, that is building a building on the west side of the St. Elizabeth's campus. That will be coming, what, Victor, at the end of August? We will have 3,700 new employees in the District of Columbia coming to the Coast Guard. And we want to make sure that that area of the city is, is fully safe, just like other areas of the city. In any event, we're also investing over the next 3 years $21 million in new equipment for MPD, new police cruisers, and the like. And we're also investing $24 million in FMES to be able to buy new fire engines, new ambulances. We'll purchase about 150 pieces of new equipment for fire and emergency medical services. We are going to put more money into our cadet program so that we can attract young people from our high schools in the city to become police officers. And I've already talked about the domestic abuse dollars that we are investing. 3.1 was on the other slide, 4.4 on this one for 7.5. I've already talked about the TANF program. we are losing $35.5 million federal dollars this year, and we are replacing every one of them with our dollars so that those programs will not suffer as a result of it. And $28 million will be from the TANF program that will allow us to continue the reforms that we have underway there. We are going to put $1.5 million into homeless youth services, half a million this year and another $1 million next year. And then we're putting $6 million into the TANF program so that we can orchestrate this in a way that keeps people continuing to get their benefits if they are working towards a solution, as the solution being get your assessment and get a job. We also are establishing next year, I want to establish, let's put it this way, it's proposed in the budget, something called the One City Fund that will put $15 million, make it available to nonprofits, 501c3 organizations in the city. They can apply for a grant up to $100,000 that could be for services in education, job training, health, services for seniors, the arts, public safety, and the environment, which is virtually everything. There'll be 3 or 4 categories. One of those categories will be improving the quality of life for all, and if a nonprofit organization can't find itself in that category, I'm not really sure why it exists in terms of improving the quality of life for people. It will not be administered by the executive. It will not be administered by the council, the way we've proposed it. It will be administered by the Community Foundation, which is a private organization that administers funds. They actually administer 700 funds across the city for various and sundry purposes. So if it's approved, that means that we could probably grant, I don't know, 125 or more grants to organizations in the city next year. And you know what? We will probably get some really innovative ideas coming out of this that we can then take and expand in the next budget for taking a good idea and making it even better by bringing it to scale. So we're working hard to try to be able to make that happen as well. Councilmember Che already mentioned the libraries. We've got $8 million that we're putting into libraries, the purpose being to make sure that every library will be open every day, will be open 7 days a week in the District of Columbia. We're adding $2 million to that for the purchase of more materials. Every library will be open until 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday, and then Saturday and Sunday. And by the way, not only will this be good for our children, but good for a lot of our adults as well, who are in organizations that can use these libraries because we've done so much work there. Where's Jenny? Stand up, Jenny. Jenny Cooper is the chief librarian, and in my opinion, the best librarian in the nation's capital. Not only the nation's capital, in the nation and the nation's capital, and has done a phenomenal job. We have, how many, 15, 16 libraries that already have been done?
17 done with the 3 in process.
Okay, that are being constructed or renovated, whatever the case may be now. And that will include Cleveland Park, Palisades, and Woodridge. And we also are proposing, Jenny and the Board of Trustees and others we've all worked together to try to figure out how to modernize the downtown Central Library, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. We are proposing to put in $103 million starting next year. And you say, how can you modernize a library for $103 million? And you can't. But the idea is, if you notice, there's several more floors on that rendering that is up there. The idea is to add about 5 or 6 floors to the library for offices, for residential purposes. That will be revenue generating, and that revenue will then be invested right back in the modernization of the library. So it will cost the city, out of our capital budget, $103 million in order to be able to get it done. That will be a nice addition to our city. We also, you heard mention of seniors earlier. We are investing in our seniors a lot. We've established and launched an age-friendly city initiative so that people can age in place. The idea is that we have, I don't know, probably 12 or 15 villages now across. Everybody know what the villages are, senior villages? They are programs in communities across the city, and they were started. They're organic. They were started by folks right in the community. So we're now stepping in, trying to be as supportive as we possibly can, so that they can grow. They make far more human sense, and frankly, they make more financial sense as well. We also are investing in staff who will be going into nursing homes. The purpose being to identify people who don't need to be in a nursing home. We already have 7 of those staff on board. Dr. Thompson in here? Where are you, sir? Stand up. He is our director of the Office of Aging Services, and he is charged with the responsibility of conducting, I guess you already started that project, right? We have 7 staff who will go in. We're adding 3 more. There will be 10 staff who will be engaged in doing these assessments, and then will be responsible for finding alternative placements for people who really don't need to be in a nursing home. I'm not being critical of nursing homes. It just nobody, I think, wants to be in a nursing home. At least I don't. I don't know about you, but I don't. And we are obligated, I think, to do better than we have. The United Medical Center is a hospital on the east end of the city. It is the only hospital that is east of North Capitol Street. And it's formerly, anybody know what the first name of it was? Anybody, who was a historian in here? The first name of United Medical Center was what? K-Fritz is exactly right. K-Fritz Memorial Hospital. And then it became, who said Greater Southeast? Yes, it's Greater Southeast is right. And now it's the United Medical Center. It has had some challenges, and we brought in a turnaround group, Huron, that is working with us to try to stabilize the operations up to the next 2 years, and we're investing $12.7 million in that. We also believe that the physical plant for that hospital is antiquated, which isn't a hard case to make because it was built in 1949 or 50 or something like that. Nobody would build a hospital like that anymore. It has 450 beds. Nobody would operate, if they had a choice, a 450-bed hospital. There are major areas of this hospital that are just vacant. There's nobody in them. The reason being that maybe we needed all those beds 60 years ago or 70 years ago, but people don't stay in hospitals that long anymore. You know, what used to be 7 or 8 days is now a day or 2. And there's so many conditions that people go in the hospital, go to medical care for, and don't even go into the hospital. So the idea is we're investing $20 million in planning and site development for a new hospital that probably will cost $100 to $150 million when it's finished. But there is property that is available to there that may have will have a financial return for the city that will help pay for a new hospital. We're also investing in the arts. Lionel has done a great job as our executive director of the Commission on Arts and Humanities. He and Judith Terra working together. She's the chair and him the executive director. We're putting in $250,000 to once and for all have a strategic plan that they will spearhead the development of, that will emanate from our 5-year economic development plan. We are putting $5 million in the capital budget, which is up from, what, 2.7? It was 2.7. We're raising that to $5 million over the next 6 years. That will increase the investments in public art in the city. So it'll be $30 million over 6 years. How many of y'all knew we had our own archives in the district? Good. I actually had, I'm not talking about the National Archives now. I'm talking about the DC Archives. Somebody was telling me about the street that it's Naylor Court. Anybody know where Naylor Court is? Yeah, it's like in the downtown area, right? Down near the convention center. People refer to it as, quote unquote, in the alley. Really well kept secret. We have artifacts there that date back to 1790, and they really are not on display. So the idea, we're going to put $4 million in the budget for next year, and then each year thereafter $20 million in 15 and 16 to create a $44 million facility in the city that will become our own District of Columbia state-of-the-art public archives, and want to be a great opportunity for our children to be able to go and be educated about the things that we have here in the city. We are putting money into our recreation programs. We are currently doing 32 playgrounds as a part of our efforts. Is Jesus in here? Oh, John. There's John. John Stokes. Sorry, John. John is the chief of everything, working with Jesus at DPR. They have worked together with DGS, and I see Brian Hanlon all the way in the back. They have worked together. We launched this playground initiative, Play DC, at the end of September. By Christmas, they had met with and run the plans back by every community that was affected by this, and we just had the groundbreaking, if you will, at Tacoma, symbolically for virtually everywhere in the city, last Thursday. And all of those playgrounds, all 32, will be finished by the middle of the summer. Is that right, John? Okay, and we're excited about that. In addition to the Palisades Recreation Center, in which there will be invested, Penny, $31.2 million. Friendship Park, $500,000, and then the playground renovations will include Macomb, Palisades, Forest Hills Park, Newark Park, and Key, all of which will be upgraded as a part of our playground project. As you heard earlier, we're investing $400 million in the streetcar program. We are actually going to have the streetcars on display tomorrow. They're being brought in from the yards where they've been for whenever they arrive there. They're going to be over near Barry Farm, and they will be on the tracks where they will be exercised for a while. And then the next stop after that, they will go to H Street because the H Street line will be opening in 2013. I have said this so many times that that I know my staff won't be Willie Allen. They'll be getting it done, won't they, Allen? Terry Bellamy is a doer. He gets it done, and this is one of his projects. What was that? Terry's missing. We also are investing additional money. We will continue to in bike lanes. We have a commitment. We have 56 miles of bike lanes now. We are committed to go to 100 miles of bike lanes. We are trying to change transportation behavior, which we know will hardly be easy. That's going to be a tough one. If you read our sustainability plan, which is a 20-year plan, you will see that our goal is by 2032 to have 75% of the trips taken by people in the District of Columbia be by other than automobile. I don't know if you all saw, we were in Ward 3 earlier today, where we launched a new hawk signal. Anybody know what a hawk signal is? You know what that is, Councilmember Jay? Yeah. The high intensity, it's a fancy term that basically means that it's something that can be activated, a signal that can be activated by pedestrians. If you go to, where were we today? We were at Connecticut and up to by the Chevy Chase Center. Northampton, that's right. We were at Connecticut and Northampton. And the way it works is there's a button, you know, where you hit the button like you do, but this works a little bit differently. You hit the button, and then this traffic light, which is not lit at all until the button is hit, it will do a flashing yellow, then it will do a solid yellow, and then it will do a solid red. And then the pedestrian signal goes from stop to go, and people can walk across the street. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. It is. It's coordinated, synchronized with the other lights, so that people can kind of keep moving once they get started again. and it stays dark. It doesn't turn green. It's dark until it's activated in order to stop. That's the intersection where I think people were using those flags for a while to go across. No more flags, guys. We got a hawk signal now. You know what's really nice about it, too, is that the cost for a regular traffic signal is $200,000. The cost for the hawk signal is $125,000. So it's actually less, almost half of what it costs for a regular traffic light at an intersection. We have 4 or 5 that already been installed. We're going to be installing another one. There's another one on Connecticut Avenue. Yeah, Cleveland Park, that's right. And then another one after that. Some of you probably saw the accident where on Florida Avenue Northeast, this lady was hit by an allegedly drunk driver. He left the scene and she was killed right at 11th and Florida Avenue. That will be a hawk signal that's installed there. In fact, I just got the notes today about the work that's being done with the community, and the hawk signal will be one of several things that we will be doing there. We're reopening the Georgetown DMV on October 1st. A lot of work's been done there. We got, the work is pretty much finished. We got $2.7 million to be invested in the staff that will be going in there. We just opened a new DMV about a month ago in Rhode Island Road, and Councilmember Che was there with us. Yeah, on the red line, that's right. You know what, if you ever want to see transit-oriented development, this is a great example of it at Rhode Island Road. There's housing, there's retail, and you can access all of it walking out your house door and getting on the metro or getting off the metro, you know, and going wherever you go when you get off the metro. But it's right there, all very accessible, which means a lot of people don't have to drive their automobiles to get there. We are investing fully in Metro this year, $275 million in the operating budget, which is our subsidy, and then another $123 million in the capital budget, so about $400 million. You heard earlier about the super cans. You won't have to pay for super cans anymore, guys. Your super cans will be free. It's a 5-year replacement program, except that all the super cans will be replaced in the first 2 years. And then the recycling bins, which will be enlarged, will be the other 3 years. We also are working to improve our trash cans on the streets. They have been mightily defeated by the 4-legged variety of creepy crawlies that, you know, are out and about. I understand they've eaten through the bottom of some of the trash cans on the street. Now, you got to be a tough sucker to do that, aren't you? In any event, they will be reinforced so that they will not be bite-proof. I don't know what we're going to do about the tops. We don't have tops on those things either. I won't even tackle that one tonight. How many of you know, Bill, what are you reinforcing those cans with, you know, the street cans on the bottom? Metal? Okay, it'd be hard to chew through those, won't it? We had a task force that the city administrator chaired on a century-old, literally a century-old problem, and that is flooding in Bloomingdale. Everybody know where Bloomingdale is? It looks like it's been solved. And Alan, I want to thank you for your work to lead that task force to get a solution to that. We had flooding during the derecho last year. We didn't have any during Sandy. Somebody thought we had gone in and flipped a switch in the sewer system there and found the problem, but that wasn't quite the way it was done. We cleaned out everything. The initial solution to this will be done by next March, next April, for the first phase of this. Councilmember Che and I were together down at WASA, DC Water, what, about 3 weeks ago? They have the most amazing piece of equipment. They are drilling this 23-foot in diameter tunnel across the city that will be a stormwater management and a sewage management effort that will be finished. It was going to be 2025. Now that's down to 2022. will be finished by then. But I've never seen a piece of equipment like this. A piece of equipment that actually drills, you know, the tunnel is the length of a football field. That's right, a naming ceremony, right? What is the name? Lady Bird, that's right. Lady Bird, the piece of equipment was named. And they showed us how we saw the tunnel, how they're going to get it down there and start drilling across the city, 80 feet under the Potomac River, and so on and so forth. We also are giving raises to our government employees, and they are long overdue. $56 million. A lot of our employees haven't had raises in as long as 7 years, most as long as 4 years. And it will be to union and non-union employees alike. So everybody ultimately will get a raise. We have finished the negotiations or awarding of the raises to about 70 to 75% of the people, and the contracts are still being negotiated with the others. Second of the three is educating and preparing our workforce for a new economy. We're investing $79 million additional in public education. We are continuing to bring down the cost of non-public tuition in the city as we take that money and reinvest it in public education so they can increase their capacity. We are building new high schools. We just launched the construction of a new Ballou High School on the east end of the city. And in addition to that, there'll be a modernized Roosevelt High School and an essentially rebuilt Ellington High School for the performing arts, which will be, we think, will be the finest facility anyway. It's a great program already, but one of the finest facilities for performing arts in the country. A lot of people think that Spingarn High School is closing. Spingarn High School is not closing. It is being modernized. It will become a career and technical education program so that we can begin to restore those programs to our high schools. There was a time in the city when we had 7 vocational schools, and you could probably name them if I asked you to, and they all were closed over a period of time, which I think left a huge void in the education of children and young people in our city. Spingarn is going to be reopened in a year and a half as a career and technical education center focused on healthcare and transportation. And if you look at the next slide, you will see the one at the top, that's Benning Road as the street there. And then you see in the back, you see Spingarn High School, and you see a car barn that we are constructing right in front of it. So what we're trying to do is not only use the opportunity for creating the first streetcar line, which will go from Union Station out to Spingarn High School, Oklahoma Avenue, but also to create the first car barn in the modern era in the city that will also have internships for our children who will be trained for these jobs in the high school right behind them. So it's creating a convenient chance to bring our kids to a different place. These jobs, by the way, pay a minimum of $40,000 to start, and they go higher. And we were talking to Metro. We've met with Metro several times on this. Our folks have, I have, and they indicate they have an average of 50 jobs available monthly. So as fast as we can train people, they will be able to get jobs and good career ladder type experiences. The car barn, by the way, will cost us $10 million to construct. It won't be ready by the end of 2013, but will be ready early in 2014. You heard the investments we're making in Ward 3 schools already. Reno Rose, which is near Deal, of course, be a part of this complex. And then a number of other middle schools across the city. And in addition, in Ward 3, in elementary schools, we're investing in Hearst. You know, we were at Hearst, what, a week ago Friday? I wish I could bring everybody, especially people from the other side, folks from the other side of the city, to some of the schools over here because, you know, like it or not, people think if you say Ward 3, it's palatial, that, you know, it's the best of the best. Well, Hearst was a school that I think was built in 1928, 1932 or something like that, and it doesn't look like a whole lot's been done on it since, to be honest with you, and it's long overdue. And it really is a one-city school. It's a school that has children from every ward in the District of Columbia attending Hearst. They got a great principal there. I think Dr. Bergeron is the principal there. And so this is a modernization that is long overdue, and I am delighted that we are able to do it. And frankly, when the dedication of it is done, I'm going to make sure that we have people from all over the city who come to see the dedication of Hearst and see what's been done with this school, and frankly, what people were doing with it even before modernization came along. What'd you say, Councilman? High performing, that's exactly right. And they don't have nearly the quality of facilities that so many other schools have in the District of Columbia. It's a little school that was built decades ago, and virtually nothing has been done except some basic maintenance over all these years. And I want to thank the parents and the teachers who do such a great job. And Dave, thank you very much for what you've done. Anyway, Hearst will be getting $13.5 million. Janney will be getting 4.9. Merch will be getting 32.7, and Eaton will be getting 10.7, all of which are schools here in the city. We continue to be concerned about mitigating, ameliorating conditions, disabling conditions that could lead our children to have to be in special education and maybe have to deal with this all their lives. I know this sounds odd, what I'm going to say, and that is we are increasing the threshold from 50% to 25%. And what I mean by that is that right now you have to have a level of severity, or a presumed level of severity of 50% or greater to be able to be a part of this initiative. We are going to raise it to a level of severity of 25%, which means less severe, but it will include more children, and we are likely to be, it will cost us more to serve those children, but I think we will mitigate some conditions that children otherwise would have to grapple with for a much longer period of time. We have a truancy initiative that's being spearheaded by our Deputy Mayor for Education. I see her, Abby Smith, stand up. She's very brand new, not so new to education. She is really quite an expert, and we're glad to have her in this role. What is tomorrow going to be, the third week or the second week? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. All right. And she's very experienced. She's most recently worked with charter schools, and she's done it all. And she's working with Deputy Mayor Otero. I haven't seen, is Bibi here tonight? There she is. They're working together on this truancy initiative that we are excited about being able to do. I was just handed the car barn will be ready by the summer of 2014. Is that right, Alan? Can't do it any faster than that. In any event, and we're also putting about $2 million into UDC. They have a new interim president at UDC, and they've got some work to do. And we hope that it goes well, but they've got a lot of work to do at UDC, not the least of which is to be able to spin off the community college. The last area is growing and diversifying our economy. And again, I want to mention our Deputy Mayor for Economic Planning and Economic Development. We are, see what's at the top of the list, Robin? Skyland. The longest undone, never done project in the history of dirt. I think the conversation started on Skyland in 1989. And one of the things I promised is that we were going to get that done. It was caught up in a tangle of litigation that was beyond belief. And the Deputy Mayor working together with the Attorney General, we have worked our way through it. I think we got one last legal hurdle, right? Which I don't imagine it being a huge hurdle. That should be cleared away in a matter of days, actually. We've already started tearing down the buildings. We know what it will look like. We were able to get an anchor to come in. A lot of people know, a lot of companies did not want to come in and anchor that development. We got Walmart, they are coming in, and that's what you see, by the way. For those of you who've seen Skyland, you probably won't recognize this. It doesn't look anything like that now. In fact, it is a dump at this point. But that is actually, can you believe that's a Walmart? That's a Walmart with residential. There'll be residential associated with it too. Those three at the top. The yards, we're investing $18 million in relocating DC water facilities. There will be a 27-to-1 return on that investment. For every $1 that we invest in relocating the DC water facilities, we'll get $27 back in tax revenue that will be generated by the development. We're investing in Poplar Point. That's a piece of property that will be turned over to the District of Columbia by the federal government. And then St. Elizabeth's. I think that's going to be one of the most spectacular projects in the history of this city. The federal government owns 180 acres on the west side. We own 180 acres on the east side. We had an event out there, was it last Thursday, Victor, where we brought in a number of folks, 19 universities, one of which came from as far away as Singapore to see what the opportunities were there. We have 3 companies, and I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think all 3 of them are going to be in. One is a group called SmartBIM, and BIM in this case is an acronym for Building Information Management. This gentleman described the technology that he uses at the event out there, his company uses. Pretty phenomenal. Sidlam, I don't know if you all are familiar with Sidlam. It's a French firm that uses technology to develop lighting. And then there's another small firm from Redmond, Washington, that has never had an innovation center outside of Redmond or outside the United States, in the United States. They have one in another nation. You all ever heard of Microsoft? I think that they are coming to the District of Columbia. And imagine that we will have Microsoft with an innovation center, if they do this, on the east end of the District of Columbia. That would be a true game changer. Now, when you start to connect the dots, when you look at Ballou High School that's being reconstructed, there will be STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, and math programs in Ballou. Ballou is right around the corner from the St. Elizabeth's campus, which means there will be opportunities for our young people as they go through high school to connect with the innovation centers that we're putting on St. Elizabeth's campus to help them be able to pursue careers in technology. And by the way, we just worked with a group called 1776. Anybody heard of them? 1776? You will. It's a startup. They help to get technology firms started. We invested $200,000. They had 1 floor and options on 3 other floors on 15th Street Northwest, in the 1100 block of 15th Street Northwest. Before they could get the doors open, the first floor they had is filled, right, Victor? They have 75 startups that have committed to be there. They now have started on the 2nd floor, and it is absolutely incredible what the response has been. We had a couple of congressmen with us last Friday night. Congressman Castro from Texas was with us, and Congressman Darrell Issa was with us last Friday night also as a part of launching 1776. All right, we've talked about the streetcars already. One thing I just want to point out on this slide, we are proposing in this budget to build a new Frederick Douglass South Capitol Street Bridge. It is on its last leg. Last leg in bridge life means you got about 7 to 8 years left. We are proposing to invest $622.5 million in a new bridge that will have a phenomenal impact connecting Ward 6 and Ward 8 in the city. And so, for those of you who haven't seen our sustainability plan, I would invite you to do that. Our staff went through the budget to try to identify how many projects we have in this budget that connect to our sustainable DC plan, and there are 200 in the area of transportation, water, food, the built environment, health and wellness, and then we are going to do the Sustainable DC Challenge once again, at least we want to anyway. We've gotten that off to a great start. We were out at the trash transfer station on Benning Road when were we there? Last Wednesday? Last Thursday? Anybody remember? If you don't remember, it was Thursday. It was Wednesday. Whatever. Yeah, last week. In any event, we were demonstrating a composting effort that we have underway, and we also were able to demonstrate what we're doing with, if you all permit me, and then I'm just about finished. We have a project that's underway with our police cruisers. You know how police cruisers basically idle, you know, that's their job, right? They sit there and idle, and they burn up fuel, and they, you know, give off, you know, pollutants. Well, we have this technology that we're trying. We're doing with 75 of the police cruisers. It's instead of them idling using fuel, they are idling using a battery. And the battery will keep the motor running. It will not do any polluting. It will not burn any fuel, and it will be far cheaper to be able to do this. We're trying it with 75. If this works, which we think it will, what we're going to do, we'll do the rest after that, right, Chief? With the this is phase one, right? This is really exciting, and there's I think it's 12 projects and 8 different agencies that have this kind of potential impact associated with them. Now, I wish we could do everything, and we can't, and that's why we put together, as you see on his last couple of slides, the revised the priority list of things that we were to get more dollars in the next revenue estimates, one of which will be June, another September, and another in December. We would propose to fund these things on top of what we're proposing in this budget. So this is a $10.1 billion budget. Very few cities have a budget like this, the reason being that we are a state, county, municipality, and school district all rolled into one. Virtually everywhere else you go, you would find 4 different budgets. They're all contained in one budget here in the city. And I, too, am excited about this budget and look forward to the council's action on it, and then look forward to being able to move forward with this implementation. So I'll be happy to take any questions you may have at this point.
Mayor Gray, my name's Sally White. I'm Executive Director of Iona Senior Services. This is really amazing. There's so much exciting happening in the city. And as Mr. Gandhi said, everywhere we look, we see all the improvements. But what I'm really concerned about is what we don't see. I'm really concerned about the people who are older, who are in their apartments and can't get to the doctor because the bus is not available for the next 3 weeks, and the drivers haven't had staff increase pay in 7 years. And there's no money in this budget to make that change. I'm really concerned about the people who live on Connecticut Avenue, the older adult who is paying $1,500 a month in rent and whose income is $1,650. I'm really concerned about the people we see every day who, in Ward 3 and everywhere else in the city, go to bed hungry at night. $30 million for the Office on Aging budget is not enough. There is $5.8 million on your wish list. What can you do, what can we do to move that money off the wish list into the budget to begin to turn this around?
Well, the latter question would be if we get more money. That's why it's on the list in the first place, and that is if we had had more money, we would have done it right away. And some of the things that we've talked about, of course, are in the capital budget. This is in the operating budget. So when we talk about building buildings and whatnot, that would have, we couldn't take that money and use it for the kinds of things that you have talked about. So the first thing would be, hopefully we'll get more money. I actually, to be honest with you, one of the things I do when I look at myself, when I see what's going on in the city, I think that maybe we will be able to generate, more dollars. I asked our staff just yesterday, I said, let's look at some of the receipts, the things that are coming into the city, the sales taxes, the income taxes, and the property taxes, and, give me an idea over the next few days whether you think we're likely to get more money. So that would be the short answer to the question about how do we get it off the wish list. If we had more money, we would take it off right away. If people are going to bed hungry, now I'm shocked. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't want that to happen, and I can't believe we have, with the network of senior providing agencies in the city, I can't believe that those agencies would let that happen, that people aren't eating. Wait a minute, that people aren't eating. On the transportation issue, I've talked to Dr. Thompson about that, and you want to address some of that, Dr. Thompson? Why don't you, because you're right there.
Regarding transportation, and I've shared it with Ms. White, what we're doing is Under your leadership, Mayor, what we're doing is we're looking to find a new vendor. As I briefed you last week, we want to get a vendor who has the operation logistics experience. Current vendors that we've been using, they're only community-based organizations. They don't have that expertise. So we want to increase the efficiency, increase the effectiveness, and at the same time, we have not done a market analysis on what it truly costs to provide transportation for seniors across the District of Columbia. So once we get those proposals in, it is an opportunity to share with the mayor and the deputy mayor of what these vendors are saying, what they're proposing to provide for the district seniors, and what that cost will be. We'll provide that to the leadership, and then we'll be able to move forward on transportation.
When are we going to be able to have a new?
In fact, we had the first round, Mayor, and the issue was it was community-based organizations. So what we want to do is we want to go far and wide and to get the word out in doing a different approach this time. And so we really want to see if we can get, again, an expert in transportation to provide services for our seniors.
Give me a range of time.
I would say it took us about 6 weeks, so to get it back out, it'll take us another 6 weeks. But we expect that vendor to be able to provide that service beginning October 1.
So what you're saying is you've done it once, and you got a disappointing response?
Yes, sir.
And so we're going to do it again over the next 6 weeks, and we'll have a new provider by then?
Absolutely. We'll be able to identify that provider, but that provider won't start until October 1. We currently have a vendor in place, Seabury Senior Services, provide transportation across the District of Columbia. But October 1, we want to have a new vendor in place.
And you're convinced we'll have one in place?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have to.
Well, if you don't, Dr. Thompson, we're going to turn you into a driver, okay?
I don't mind. I'll do it now.
I just want to add something to that. We've been scrubbing the transportation budget, and I think I've squeezed out enough for the transportation. You know that list you gave me of what you want? I think we squeezed out enough for that. There's another thing that we're trying, which I'm really excited about. We have a number of people who need special transportation in the school system. We have a number of people who need special transportation to go to doctors and that sort of, whether it's dialysis or whatever. We are going to have, I'm having a meeting with OSSI and the Office of Aging. I believe it's on your calendar already. The Office of Aging, in addition to looking at people who are relying on metro access. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to use, and I think Mr. Linton is here from the Taxi Cab Commission, we're going to try to use taxis that have been outfitted for handicapped travel. And instead of using metro access or some of these other things, we're going to have vouchers for people so that they can get better, quicker, faster, and cheaper service for all of these rides that they may need. So we're going to try to bring that together in a coordinated way. But I just wanted to tell you, I've already scrubbed the budget, and I found the money for your transportation.
Mr. Mayor, my name is Bill Coe. I have no affiliation. I'm just a man on the street. Came up from his home at Van Ness to hear you speak tonight.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to see you. I know opinion was divided within the government on the political and legal soundness of the recently passed budget autonomy referendum. It was passed. It attracted the support of a resounding 7% of eligible voters in the district, but it passed, and I suppose it's now part of the charter under which we're governed.
Not yet.
Well, that's my question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you foresee as being the first visible, forthright action taken by your administration to demonstrate, in deed as well as word, to the citizens of this district, to the federal government, and to the country at large, that we are in charge of our own money?
Well, to tell you the truth, if I could do it myself, it would have been done long before now. We wouldn't have had to have a referendum to express that. I've talked about this everywhere I go. I think it's an absolute obscenity that the District of Columbia is in a situation where we can't make decisions ourselves about our own money. I don't know if there's anybody from the AG's office that can describe the steps. If not, we can get that to you in terms of what the steps would be. There is a question, and this was a question raised by the Attorney General, and I raised questions myself as to whether simply having a referendum that is approved and then has a layover of 35 days in the Congress, does that then become the law or a charter amendment? And we still don't know the answer to that, whether that in fact is the case or not. I suppose that will emerge over the next few weeks. I think, you know, and I, by the way, while expressing my skepticism about this as an approach, I heartily supported it. I did everything that I could to get people to get out and vote for this, and as you say, it was a resounding 7% of the people that showed up. But in the meantime, I've also continued to work with a person who has really turned out to be a great friend on the Hill, and that is Congressman Darrell Issa. He has put together a bill that actually, if this were to be able to move forward, would preclude, would obviate the need for the issue around the referendum and the legal fight that could ensue as a result of this. We will see. We will be working with him. A bill has already been drafted. We've had a chance to review it. I have every reason to think that he is going to work as hard as he can to try to move that bill forward. Again, that would eliminate what could ultimately be a protracted legal fight, you know, around what authority the District of Columbia really has to be able to pass this kind of legislation. You know, and there's still the possibility of riders, you know, being attached to our budget. We're hopeful that we are able to get a bill through that would not have riders attached to it. Some of you may remember that just about 2 years ago, it was April 11th of 2011, I, along with 40 other people, were arrested for protesting what was done to the district's budget, the potential of, you know, adding a rider around the prohibition of us spending our own money on women's reproductive rights here in the District of Columbia. So from my own personal perspective, I will continue to wage this fight in every arena that I possibly can. Even though I was skeptical about it as a strategy, I still heartily supported this because if it works, great. I'm not sure that it will, but we still don't, that's not the only strategy we have. The other strategy is to be able to work with our friends on the Hill to see if we can get a bill through. And the fact that a bill has been drafted at this stage and is being supported by someone who might not traditionally have been thought of as someone who would support this, it is very encouraging about the future. I tell you, the other thing is that the thing that is enigmatic to me is why so few people in the District of Columbia stand up for our rights. It's just amazing. You go to a rally, I've been to umpteen rallies around the rights of people in the District of Columbia, and it's considered a resounding success if you get 500 people to show up out of a population north of 600,000 people in the city. It's really a travesty. And even if we get budget autonomy, we still don't have legislative autonomy in which we can approve our own laws. We still don't have a congresswoman who has a vote in the House of Representatives. And obviously, we still don't have statehood, which, you know, ultimately is the goal for me, and that is to become a state. And I don't think it will ever fully change until we stand up for ourselves in the District of Columbia. We need more people who are willing to stand up and fight for democracy in the District of Columbia, because we do not have democracy in the District of Columbia as others enjoy it. I think we have one of our at-large council members who is here. Where is she? Oh, Councilmember Bonds. Would you like to come up and say a word? You're welcome to it.
Well, I can just certainly take this opportunity to say good evening, and I hope you've had a stimulating opportunity to digest what the new budget is about and gotten some answers to your questions. I heard my colleague, Councilwoman Che, talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that is how do we address some of the needs for our senior citizens and those that are becoming very elderly as it relates to transportation. So I will be with her on anything that she proposes that will help with the transportation needs across the city. I think the budget is something that we all have embraced and feel that there's something in it for everyone, and particularly for the neighborhoods. We'll probably do a little tweeting, little adjustments. We'll be tweeting too about this for sure. But it's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for being gracious and let me speak to you this late in the hour. And I know you're kind of ready to go or to get more questions answered.
More questions.
More questions. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We'll go here, and then we'll come back here.
Tom Gregory, I rent here in Ward 3. I'm one of the 60% of DC citizens that do rent. Concerned that our rent keeps going up, among the highest in the nation, and the rate of climb is among the highest in the nation, as I understand. And as you identified, affordable housing is the #1 problem in DC. The Owners Association for big apartment buildings claim that economic development is incompatible with fairness to tenants. I didn't expect them to admit that, but I'm wondering if you see, with the laws so skewed pro-owner and against the tenants, and I can give you all sorts of examples, if you see them as being incompatible and what you can do about it. And related to that, the Office of the Tenant Advocate, tiny, young, has huge responsibilities. Wondering when you're going to bring the funding of OTA up to a point compatible or even close to compatible with their huge responsibilities.
Well, I actually have worked closely with OTA. When I was on the council, I joined with some other members because it was zeroed out of the budget. And we made sure that it got back in the budget. And I've tried to be as supportive as I can of the office, recognizing that the Office of the Tenant Advocate has a huge role to play in the city. I don't know that we did not meet the needs that were requested this year. If there are more needs that need to be addressed, we'll certainly try to work with the director in addressing those needs. The issue you raised around economic development and renting, I think, being incompatible, I don't agree with that. I think there are a lot of people who don't necessarily want to who want to own. They may be at a point in life where they don't feel like having those responsibilities. Or they may not be at a point, their means may be modest enough for them to want to be in a rental situation. I think that there are two things the government can do, and that's what we're trying to do. It's how the policies are effectuated and then what we do with our money. We've tried to create a policy in the city that underscores the importance of affordable housing, you know, somewhere along that continuum from 0 to 100% of the average of the area median income. And the second is what we do with our dollars. And I think if I had to identify where the biggest single chunk of money is going, in new money in this budget, it is going into affordable housing, $100 million. Do we need more and could we use more? Absolutely. I could probably figure out how to spend $500 million. But what we're trying to do is create not only an infrastructure for affordable housing, but also make sure the resources are invested to continue to send the message that this should be a place where there's residential diversity. And that is, you can own if you wish, but if you wish to rent, there's still a place for you in the District of Columbia.
Hi, I'm Wanda Reif. I live in the Chevy Chase area.
How you doing?
I appreciate the economic renaissance that has been coming from your leadership in the city, and your comments about how development is booming and we've got cranes all over the city. I am concerned, however, that we may be losing sight of the well-being of the existing residents of the city in the process of these development activities. I'll give you one very specific example in my neighborhood. One of the, if not the largest building in the last 50 years is about to be proposed for 5333 Connecticut Avenue. And the developer in that situation is, in the opinion of our neighborhood organization that has been formed, that has over 500 members, I note the 500 you mentioned as being significant, that this building is going to be too large, and that it in fact seems, as we have found in investigating it, to exceed the various limitations imposed in law on a building that is going to be totally out of character with the neighborhood. We would like very much, and we have asked for the mayor's office, and that includes you, to give us the opportunity to discuss this with you, since the developer has shown no interest whatsoever in discussing it with the neighborhood. Can I get a commitment from you tonight to meet with our neighborhood organization, the 5333 Connecticut Neighborhood Coalition, to discuss the neighborhood's concerns and to get some opportunity to provide you with information we have regarding how this building exceeds the limits? Well, I will also mention that Mary Che has been very helpful and supportive for our neighborhood organization, and that we have had meetings with both Victor Hoskins and Nicholas Majette. But we feel that it's important that we have a meeting with you and discuss all of this.
Yep.
Can I get a meeting set up?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
In fact, if Councilmember Che will come with me, we'll go together. How's that? And I'll bring Deputy Mayor Hoskins. I'll bring Nicholas and Majette. Any other agencies you want there?
I spent all afternoon today at DCRA trying to get some information.
Okay, that would be Nick.
The one major additional concern with this building, which Councilmember Che is only too well aware of, is the environmental impact of this building, which is being set up with 263 units, 175 parking spaces. All of the fumes from this garage and part of the building is coming through one single exhaust vent on the ground level right across the street from my house.
Okay,
In a narrow street.
We'll bring Keith Anderson with us too. He's our director, the acting director of the environment. And what we'll try to do is maybe you guys can pull the plans and see what we got. If we got something that's illegal going on, we'll stop that.
At this point, what we found is through our research that you're getting different opinions from different people within DCRA as to whether things are legal or not, and they've already been granted permits, so there's a lot of concern in the neighborhood that it's one of those situations where it's going to be too little too late for us to do anything. We're trying very hard to simply be heard by the developer.
Nick, do you all know anything about this project? Nick? Okay. All right, I'll be happy to come to the meeting. Hope I'll be happy after the meeting is over with, but. Oh, okay, fantastic. If you can work it out with our staff, somebody will get you, okay, you all have already connected? Okay, and we'll be happy to come. And I'll bring all of them with me. Would you like to come, Councilmember Che? Okay. All right.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you very much for a very thorough explanation of the budget and its spending. It was a terrific job, but I wanted to encourage you to maybe put a slide about the revenue for the District of Columbia so that you could demonstrate to us all that the $10 billion that is raised is all essentially locally raised money. I think that would further...
It is not.
It's
so
not?
It's not all, the $10 billion is not all locally raised. That's the gross budget. The locally raised money is about $6 billion, but the federal money that we get is essentially the same way that other states get their federal money, like Medicaid, for example. Our Medicaid program is a 70-30 program, 70% federal, 30% local. The Medicaid budget is, or the healthcare finance budget is about $2.7 billion. So if you do the 70% of that, then you would see what's coming from the federal government. But my point is this, that it may be federal dollars, but it's the same way that every other state gets their federal money. So we can do that. We can show you what the federal dollars are, what the local dollars are, and and any other dollars that may be coming, which is pretty minuscule, private foundation dollars or something like that. We'll do that for the next presentation for Ward 7 on Thursday. Got that one, Sheila? Okay. All right, Dave.
Hi, Mayor Gray. David Dickinson. I'm a Ward 3 parent and a Hearst PTA co-president, and I appreciate your comments this evening, and I just wanted to echo that we are indeed a one city, one school, in addition to having children from all 8 wards. In fact, Ward 3 is not the greatest represented ward within the school. It's actually Ward 4, but we pride ourselves on our diversity, whether it's socioeconomic, racial, international. It's an incredible school. I also want to personally thank your leadership along with, frankly, all the departments represented here tonight. It really is impressive as a parent in Ward 3, and I just want to express my gratitude to all the other department chairs here this evening, along with Councilwoman Che, who's provided great leadership and help with Hearst and a lot of efforts in Ward 3. My comment is, as you're looking toward prioritization for the next fiscal year, and it kind of ties into the capital budget investments you're making this year, to give further consideration to, in addition to the seniors and the homeless, to the educational operating budget for the schools. I know that there's a tremendous investment in that area, but as we face the Common Core CAS standards and we're imposing additional expectations on our teachers, I'm not convinced that our operating budget is really in place to achieve those standards, and to the extent that we're buying into them. I also like to make a recommendation that perhaps using Baltimore as a model, where I believe 80% of the DCPS type or school type money is actually reaches the children, that we take a hard look to see whether that's happening in the district as well. But again, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you very much, Dave, and thank you for yours also. I haven't mentioned our Chief of Staff. I saw him over there. There he is, who's done a great job working with the Hearst parents also, Chris Murphy, who is a Ward 3 resident. You don't applaud for your own residents? Come on, Chris, I'll applaud for you. I actually think it's more than 80%, Dave. We can get the information for you. The central office is nowhere near the size of what it used to be, many years ago. It has really been substantially streamlined under the leadership of Chancellor Kaya Henderson. The other thing I want to underscore that you mentioned was about the diversity of Hearst. You will recall that among a number of people who talked to me about this, the Indonesian ambassador and his wife were great advocates for Hearst, and they have their 3 children who are enrolled, I think, in, is it pre-K, K, and 1? Yeah, pre-K, K, and 1 at Hearst. And they are huge advocates for the quality of the instruction that their children are getting at Hearst. So thank you very much. Okay. Well, there's nobody else in line. Thank you all very much, and have a good rest of the evening.